Hello, bookworms. The Timber's Den. My name is Whitney, and we just finished reading Grave Peril by Jim Butcher. So this is the third book in the Dresden File series. Really enjoyed this one. If you haven't been reading along on the series, I strongly encourage you to do so. There are links down in the description below where you can pick up all the books we've read so far, and of course the book we're about to start. So really enjoying these. If you like fantasy, kind of fast paced action books, these are definitely for you. Definitely have a lot of action scenes and very well written. Like, you can really visualize what's happening. And so, yeah, hopefully you've been following along. If not, though, it's never too late. Before I talk about my thoughts on the rest of this book, I just want to remind everybody we do our book of the month discussions every Monday. And so you can, join me for those. I just introduced the book of the month for November. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. Really excited for the one we are going to be reading in November, but I'm also a little bit nervous as well. It is kind of outside my comfort zone. We also do a weekly read every Wednesday, so I choose a book to read, just within the week. I try to keep it on the shorter side, so less than 400 pages. Some of them are a little over, but not too bad. And then I also do a Throwback Thursday where I revisit old childhood books and things like that. As I get through what I have, it's going to kind of turn into a kids corner, and I'm going to talk about different, children's books essentially. So really excited for that. And then of course there's like pop-up bonus videos here and there as well. So if you're not already, please subscribe, hit the bell notification, and give this video a like while you're at it. We actually just hit 50 subscribers at the time I'm filming this. If I could talk, that would be great. And so yeah, really excited for that. That was my first sub goal. The channel's not really, that's not the main focus of this channel. I really want to create a community of people that just enjoy books as much as I do and really kind of want to do in-depth discussions and such. But I appreciate everybody that has subscribed, and I do have certain goals that I want to hit. And so really excited that we finally hit the 50, and just thank you to everybody who has subscribed. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Grave Peril. So this one was based on ghosts, essentially. And so we talked a little bit about the first half of the book last week, what was going on, kind of our thoughts. And we do learn a little bit more about Lydia. It didn't leave us quite guessing like it did with Tara in the last book. And I do have to say, I mentioned it before that talking to other people, they have said once you hit the third book, it does get a lot better. And I really enjoyed the first two books. But reading the third book, I definitely see what they're talking about. They're really kind of getting into like the underlying storyline that goes with the series, because each book itself is kind of based on different cases that Harry is involved in. And so each book you can definitely read as a standalone, but there's definitely the underlying story that is the series. And so we're really kind of getting more into that. And the first two books were very, very action packed and just, like constantly moving, and things were constantly happening. Tense situations like back to back. Where this one, I felt like the scenes, like the action packed scenes and the tense scenes and the fighting scenes, I felt like they were built up a lot better than they were in the first two books. The first two books, it was just like constant like chaos. Where this time, there were slow parts in between. And not necessarily that they were slow, but they were actually kind of building to the scene versus just like nonstop action, which I enjoyed because one, it kind of gave you a break so you're not constantly like anxious for Harry, but also I enjoyed that it was kind of building up to that. And so the scenes were a little bit more in depth. Even once you got to the action scenes, there was a little bit more substance there, which I really appreciated. And I was actually reading the synopsis for the next one, and it ties into this one very well. And so it's going to be interesting to see how he continues to build on that. Where the first two, why it certainly referenced, previous things, from like the second one referenced things from the first book and such. It really wasn't all that in depth, and so, like I said, it was definitely you could read, them standalone, and even this one, it did reference, like the werewolves and such a couple times, like kind of in the beginning and then kind of at the end. But you could still really read it as a standalone. And I like this one because the first two books were had Johnny Marcone heavily throughout, where this one was focused more on Bianca, who is another powerful player in this Chicago storyverse. And so, it deals with her and kind of the back rules between um them and the White Council. And so in this one, obviously very heavily ghost related, but the vampires are throughout it as well. And the vampires, you learn a little bit more about them, and we actually learn that there are different courts, and so Bianca kind of essentially gets like a promotion, I guess, for lack of a better word. And she's part of the Red Court, and so she has this ball to celebrate that, and she has to invite somebody from the White Council. And so she invites Harry, and then there's also the White Court, and then there's the Black Court as well. And we also have Michael, who's a new character in this one, but is tied to Harry, farther back than just these books. Like he's tied to Harry. So I think that's definitely going to come into play as well. And um, Michael knows about the vampires, so Michael kind of has his own thing going on. Like, yes, he works with Harry, but he's also, fighting his own battle against, the demons and such. Which we had an idea of that for sure, but so he has a tie to the Black Court, which is really interesting. And this half of the book, still a lot of action packed scenes and such, but I think, like I said, the way they built it was a lot better. And that's what I really really enjoyed about this book was the in depth, and you're getting all these little connections that I think just were kind of lost in the first couple books. And then we also have the fairy godmother, and we're seeing, her interaction with Harry and everything. And that's still kind of a mystery, and I know that's going to be built upon in the future series as well. Um, but that's kind of a mystery about what the deal is with her, and we're just kind of getting hints. But it is slowly building, and we're learning a lot more. We still don't know fully the history with his mother and his father, but again, they're referenced a couple times throughout. And so it kind of leaves you guessing, which is enjoyable, but it's like I want more. Like it leaves you wanting more, which I think is good, because it's not just all right there at the start of it. Something does happen in here that I wasn't expecting, but I mean it's not all that surprising either. And so that's gonna be, I know it comes into play in the next book as well. Or it's mentioned anyway, at least in the synopsis. So I'm excited to see how that ties in, and whether that part of the storyline is going to be continue to be focused on in the next book or not. But yeah, just really overall really enjoyable, like I said, and how they tied it together with the ghost and the vampires and everything. How Jim Butcher tied it together was really really nice. And like I said, I think I like this series because it takes the lore and such that we're familiar with, but he does something different with it. So it's really enjoyable in that way. It's not like everything else you read or watch, that is kind of, the same thing over and over again. He kind of twists it and really makes it his own, which I really enjoy. But yeah, this one, like I said, the ghost and with Michael and the vampires and everything, I just thought it was an entertaining read, but there was more substance to this one that wasn't there in the first two. Like the first two were just action packed, fun reads, really enjoyable, but they're just it did kind of lack that substance. Where this one, there's a lot more substance to it, which I enjoyed personally myself. And I can't wait to see how it plays out. So, of course, we are going to be reading Summer Night starting this week. We are going to be splitting this one in half as well. So the first set of chapters are going to be 1 through 16. I'll go ahead and read the synopsis for you. A little bit of spoilers in the synopsis, so if you haven't been reading the series along with us, go ahead and jump off now. And you can find my thoughts on the first half of this book next Saturday. But for those of you that have been following along, I'm really excited reading the synopsis, so just want to share it with you real quick. It says, ever since his girlfriend left town to deal with her newly acquired taste for blood, Harry Dresden has been down and out in Chicago. He can't pay his rent. He's alienating his friends. He can't even recall the last time he took a shower. The only professional wizard in the phone book has become a desperate man. And just when it seems things can't get any worse, in saunters the Winter Queen of Fairy. She has an offer Harry can't refuse if he wants to free himself of the supernatural hold his fairy godmother has over him, and hopefully end his run of bad luck. All he has to do is find out who murdered the Summer Queen's right-hand man, the Summer Knight, and clear the Winter Queen's name. It seems simple enough, but Harry knows better than to get caught in the middle of fairy politics, until he finds out that the fate of the entire world rests upon his solving this case. No pressure or anything. So, yeah, really excited for this one. I was hoping when it said Summer Night that it might be in reference to Michael a little bit. Um, but hopefully Michael will be in here. I really enjoyed his character. But yeah, really excited to jump into this one and learn more about Harry's godmother, because I'm sure that ties in to Harry's parents, and so we'll get more information on them, and hopefully we'll learn, what's been going on with Susan throughout this time. So, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.